From the Ear to There Travel Studio, this is the Ear to There Disney Podcast.
Welcome aboard the Ear to There Podcast, the podcast that'll help you vacation like a pro in any Disney destination. For those of you standing, please sit down and hold on throughout our journey and get ready to learn how to have the time of your life. And now, here's your host, Phil Gramlich.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Ear to There Podcast. I am your host, Phil Gramlich. I am also the owner and the operator of Ear to There Travel, which is a Disney-specialized travel agency. It's my job to take away all that stress, all that anxiety, and all that time that it takes to plan a Disney trip, so you can focus on the fun things like having a great time with your family and friends and enjoying the magic. You can find this podcast, my blog, or request a free, no-obligation quote over at eartotheretravel.com. You can also find this podcast everywhere you find your podcast, so it's iTunes, or what they call Apple Podcasts now, I guess, on Stitcher, on Google Play, on SoundCloud. Just look for me at all those places. This podcast is there. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I do all of that planning. I take away all of that stress, all of that anxiety, and all that time from you for absolutely no charge at all. So from finding you the best prices for your vacation, to booking your dining reservations, to fast passes, special event tickets, and more, I do all of that absolutely for free. You can also find me each and every, well, let's hope, Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That's when I'll be doing my live Facebook show over at facebook.com/eartotherphil. Lots of times we'll just have Disney talks and chats, but sometimes I'll also do live Disney trivia nights where I give out some cool prizes. So join me on Thursdays at 7:30 on Facebook Live. That's facebook.com/eartotherphil. All right, now that all that business is out of the way, this is episode number 86 for the week of August 28th, 2017. Now, grab a drink, grab a snack, and as a famous mouse once said, on with the show. Walt Disney World can be a really intimidating place to plan a trip to. With 4 world-class theme parks, 2 enormous water parks, over 200 resort hotels. All right, I'm kidding. It's not that many hotels, but you get the idea. You have to book your fast passes, your dining reservations, know what restaurants are good, which ones aren't, know what foods are good, which ones aren't, know which days to go to which parks. There is a lot that goes in to planning a Walt Disney World vacation. That's why this week I wanted to give you my top hacks for taking a trip to Walt Disney World. And even though I usually have a guest on and we come up with around 10 items to talk about this week, and we never put a top 10 title on it, right? It's always top this or top that. This week, I am actually going to give you my top 10 hacks for your next Disney trip. And because these are my top 10 hacks, it's just going to be me on this episode. I won't have a guest. So if you're going to get tired of my voice, I apologize in advance. All right. So let's move on to my top 10 hacks for your next Walt Disney World vacation. And number 1 is a big one because water, if you buy bottled water in Walt Disney World, whether it's Dasani or Smart Water, and I know Smart Water apparently has electrolytes or minerals or something in it. I don't know how much smarter it makes you to pay more for a bottle of Smart Water than it does a bottle of Dasani in Walt Disney World. But regardless, it's still called Smart Water. But purchasing water in the parks can get really, really expensive every day, especially if you're like me. If you're a family of 5, well, I mean, I go with a family of 5. I myself, I'm not a family of 5, but I go with my wife and my 3 kids. And you need to stay hydrated. I mean, it gets hot in Florida. We go during the summer sometimes. We go even in the spring or the fall, and it's still really super hot there. So you need to drink water, and it's kind of a pain to drag it around in your backpack all day. So a great alternative, and again, this is Disney trip hack number 1. A great alternative is to get free water at any of the counter service or table service locations located all over Walt Disney World. All you have to do is ask. If you were at a counter service restaurant, they will give you a cup with a lid with ice water in it, one for every member of your party. If you're at a table service restaurant, obviously you can't take that glass outside with you because that would be dangerous, but you can get as many glasses of water while you're in that restaurant as you like. Just be careful, because then if you're riding on Splash Mountain or something, after you have like 6 glasses of water at Liberty Tree, you may have a bit of a problem. But then again, it might be better because you get wet. Okay, my mind's going somewhere else. It shouldn't go that place in the first hack of the episode. But again, ask for a free cup of water, of ice water, at pretty much any dining location. Not the carts, not the outdoor food carts. They won't have them because there's no plumbing there mostly, but any of the counter service locations or table service locations will give you a free cup or a free glass of water whenever you ask. So that is hack number 1. Stay hydrated. Have fun in Walt Disney World. Don't pass out. Okay, moving on to hack number 2. And already with hack number 2, I'm giving up a secret. And I don't love doing that, but listen, I care about you right now listening to this episode. And again, I really appreciate the fact that you're listening. You were awesome for listening to this. I mean, man, I just can't believe one person listens to this, but I have a lot of people listening right now. So thank you. I mean, from the bottom of my heart for listening. Anyway, away from this mushy stuff, as Buzz on Home Alone says, let's get to hack number 2. And it's a secret, and it is go left. And that has nothing to do with politics. Go left. I mean, stay to your left, especially at rope drop in the parks. I think as Americans, we have, and if you're not an American listening to this, I apologize. Not that you're not an American, but I don't mean to group you in with, with my country. But as Americans, we tend to go to the right. So when Magic Kingdom opens, we head straight toward Tomorrowland with Space Mountain, or we go straight to New Fantasyland with Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. And unless we're at the front of the line or we're one of the faster walkers. Now remember, don't run. Don't do the race to space. Don't run. Just walk. You can walk fast. Don't get hurt in the parks. That's a really bad way to start your day. But instead, go left. Go toward Adventureland. Go toward Frontierland. Go toward Liberty Square. I mean, you can ride Pirates of the Caribbean, Jungle Cruise, Haunted Mansion, Big Thunder Mountain, and Splash Mountain all in the morning, and you won't need fast passes for any of them. Then you could use your fast passes or set up your fast passes for later in the day for things like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train and for Space Mountain. This is the strategy I use. This is the strategy I tell my clients to use, and it's the one I always get awesome feedback on. So resist the urge to be an American and go right, and instead go left. And do me a favor, don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone about that strategy, or everyone will be going left and it'll mess us all up. You are in on the club. You're in the club. You're in with the cool kids now. So don't tell anybody else. Okay. Oh, and also when you come to an attraction that has options, like Pirates of the Caribbean, when you get to the front of the queue, you can either go right or go left. Always, again, go left. Same thing the Tower of Terror after you get into the boiler room. Unless it's very, very obvious that the left line is longer, go left. It's just the way to go. Most people will just kind of blindly go to the right. So if you go to the opposite, your waits in those attractions should be shorter. Okay, that was hack number 2. Let's move on. Hack number 3. And again, this is one that I've used a lot, an awful lot, while I'm staying in Walt Disney World, either with my family, but actually a little more often if I'm by myself. Yes, I take work, quote, put that in quotes. I take work trips, quote unquote, to Walt Disney World for training, or when a new attraction or a new restaurant opens, I make sure to get down there. I have been invited one time only by Disney, but hopefully that'll change in the future. But at the end of the night, especially after any fireworks or park close at any park closing time, instead of getting in line for one of the buses, if you have to, think about using one of the new minivans, MINNIE that is, or taking a taxi or dialing up an Uber on your phone. That is a way more, let's say, is time effective, right? I know I've heard of cost effective. If it's not correct, I'm inventing it right now on the show. It's a much more effective use of your time, let's say it that way, than waiting in that long line, especially if you are staying at one of the value resorts. Those bus lines at the end of the night tend to be super, super long. So instead, spend, the most it's going to cost you is $20 in the minivans or 15 to 20 in a taxi or an Uber. For me, that's totally worth it to jump in one of those from the front of the park and get to my resort than waiting in one of those super long lines in the buses after, Happily Ever After is over or something like that. Again, they're not free, but your aching feet and your tired, eyes are worth the $20 that it costs to skip all that aggravation of standing in line and waiting for that bus. My recommendation is to skip one margarita on your trip. Just one margarita from La Cava del Tequila, or De Tequila del. Why do I always mess up the Spanish stuff? Sorry, my Spanish American listeners, I messed that up again. It's La Cava is what I call it. Or one of the outdoor stands. Skip that margarita, just one, or skip that one souvenir that costs you $20, and you can get that Uber, that minivan, or that taxi back to your resort and save yourself just a ton of aggravation at the end of the night. And you get back to say you're staying at like Port Orleans Riverside, you get back to hear the end of Yeehaw Bob Jackson's show. There you go. It's perfect. It's a win-win. All right. So that was hack number 3. Let's move on to number 4. And this is one that I know a lot of people don't take advantage of. And I try to tell my clients, make sure you take advantage of this. Of course, if you have the time, it's not something that has to be on your radar if you're taking your first ever trip to Walt Disney World, but you should make sure to use your free mini golf vouchers. So if you book a trip through the Disney Travel Company or a travel agent like myself, and you're staying on Walt Disney World property, you'll get a little booklet before your vacation that has vouchers for a free round of miniature golf. Each reservation gets 4 free vouchers. So, 4 people can get a free round of mini golf in Walt Disney World. So I don't know if you've played miniature golf, or what do you call it? Or putt-putt, I guess. I've never called it putt-putt. I've heard people say it and it always confused me. But if you're playing miniature golf or putt-putt, in Walt Disney World, if you've never played there are some amazing courses on Disney property. So over in the Epcot Hollywood Studios resort area by the Swan and Dolphin Resorts, they have the Fantasia Gardens mini golf course. That one is just phenomenal for all ages. And then they also have the Fairways course, which is right next to that, which is almost like a real golf course. And it has bunkers and water hazards. And that's the one I used to play all the time before I had kids. Of course, now when we go, it's more the Fantasia Gardens golf course. And on both of those courses, you are putting right in the middle. You can see both the Swan and Dolphin Resort. You can see Tower of Terror in the background. So it's a really neat place to play if you haven't played there. Also there, you could go to the Winter Summerland golf course over by Blizzard Beach. That one's a ton of fun for the entire family, and it obviously has the winter/summer theme going on, so it's really cool. Again, this is something that you might not do if you're, on a 4-day commando trip to Walt Disney World where you're going from the park, going from park open to park close every single day. But if you fly into Walt Disney World, not into Walt Disney World, but if you fly into Orlando and get to Walt Disney World on your first day and maybe you're not going to a park, this is like a really fun way to spend a morning or an afternoon or even an evening. So again, if you have done, if you've done everything, if you're there for 10 days and you've done all the parks and you've done Disney Springs and water parks, head over to one of the mini golf courses, use your vouchers. It's free. It's fun. You can't beat it. So again, that's if you stay on Disney property, you get that little packet with those free mini golf or putt-putt, however you say it, vouchers. All right. That was hack number 4. Moving on to hack number 5. That sounds like a part in a movie, doesn't it? Yeah, I did get cast, but I got hack number 5. All right. That's a bad joke. Okay. So hack number 5. So I don't know about you, but I love Amazon, right? I use Amazon to ship things to my house here at home all the time. So what I'm recommending you do, especially if you have an Amazon Prime account with free shipping, is to ship things to the resort before you get there. Now, I am an Amazon Prime member. I have been for years. And when my kids were in diapers, I used to use it to ship diapers and baby wipes to my house like every week. I don't think I went out and bought diapers because I had kids in diapers from 2010 to 2014 or almost 15. I didn't go buy diapers at all during that span. So I remember the first time I had anything sent to Walt Disney World through Amazon, it was diapers, baby wipes, baby food, formula, that kind of stuff. I went on Amazon Prime, ordered a week's worth of stuff, found my Disney Resorts address online, and had everything shipped 2 days, 2-day Prime shipping for free to my resort. You just have to call your resort, let them know that there will be a package waiting for you when you arrive, and it's done. Another reason why this is a great way to do it is most of the airlines charge baggage fees. So if you're not Southwest, which I always fly, and I'm not affiliated with Southwest at all, I just love that airline. I love their customer service. They do a phenomenal job, and they don't charge baggage fees, which is awesome for us because we bring a lot of bags. And if you're like me and you have little kids and you're bringing a lot of stuff, baggage fees stink. You don't want to have to use, an extra bag to bring your diapers or your baby food or your snacks or your formula or even stuff like deodorant for yourself or shampoo or soap, all that stuff, all the toiletries that you're going to bring. Why bring an extra bag to pack all that stuff? Go to Amazon.com. Make the order, deliver it to your hotel, and it's there when you check in. Plus, if you do it that way, and you could also get snacks and stuff too, as long as it's not perishable stuff. Like if you're going to be getting, I don't know, my kids love cheese crackers, and they eat them, they live on them, they bring them to the parks every day. They love taking dry cereal into the parks for a snack in little baggies. So we will order that kind of stuff on Amazon as well. Have it shipped to our resort. That way, the first day we get there, we have all that stuff. Even if our room's not ready, we have access to it. And you don't have to pay that slight upcharge that one of the grocery delivery services would charge you in the Orlando area to have your groceries delivered. So again, hack number 5 will be played by Amazon Prime. All right. Moving on again. Hack number 6. And I just talked about that upcharge that the grocery delivery services will add to your items when you order them for your room in Walt Disney World. But hack number 6 is actually going to be to use a grocery delivery service like Garden Grocer. Now, again, I have no affiliation with Garden Grocer at all. I just really love their service. We use Garden Grocer every single time we take a trip to Walt Disney World now. We order stuff like milk, juice, frozen foods like pancakes or waffles for the kids, applesauce pouches, all kinds of stuff for our vacation, stuff that we can get delivered directly to the resort on the day that we check in. They deliver the food on your check-in day, and you can also choose the time of that drop-off. And what's really cool about using Garden Grocer is you can order things that are perishable, frozen stuff, like I said, things that have to go in the fridge. And once they drop it off at Bell Services at your resort, Disney cast members will put it in the fridge or the freezer to keep all of that stuff for you until you get there. So you're totally not running the risk of things spoiling, which is awesome. And another tip about Garden Grocer, if you do drink alcoholic beverages and you're of age, Garden Grocer will deliver those as well. You just have to send them your ID. I usually send it via text or email. Just take a picture of it with your phone, send it to them. That makes it really easy. They'll still drop all that stuff off at your resort on your check-in day with all the rest of your groceries. My wife will get wine. I'll get craft beer. It's really nice. You get it. You don't have to pay those crazy, crazy high Disney prices that we all know. Listen, I love Walt Disney World as much, probably more than any next guy, but their alcohol prices are high, especially if you're purchasing them in your resort in the store there. You can't buy, say, a 6-pack of a good craft beer. You have to order, buy them individually. You can't just get a 6-pack of one of the good beers there. So if you're buying 6 or more individual beers, that's going to cost you a lot of money. So what we do is, I'll get a case of beer for my entire week, or my wife will get a couple bottles of wine for the week, and they deliver it. We keep it in our hotel room, and you end up saving yourself a ton of money if you're going to buy, adult beverages, alcoholic beverages for your trip. And like I was saying, there will be a markup of pretty much every item that you buy, and that is because Garden Grocer actually goes grocery shopping for you. But this markup is nothing compared to what you would pay if you had to buy these things in the resort store at whatever resort hotel you're staying in. So, and it's super convenient. I mean, the stuff is there when you get there. They bring it to your room, you tip the Bell Services guy and you have everything you need in your room. It's awesome. So that was hack number 6. Moving on to Disney hack number 7. This one is one that I think a lot of guests don't know about. So I'm going to ask you this question. Did you even know that you could take a bus from the Transportation and Ticket Center to the front of the Magic Kingdom? If you knew, I really think you're in the minority of daily guests that come to the Magic Kingdom, because most guests, when they get there in the morning, run straight to one of the lines for the ferry boats or for the monorail. And not many know that bus route is open and you can jump on a bus with usually little to no wait and get over to the Magic Kingdom in about 5 minutes. Now, it might make it a little more difficult if you're traveling with someone who is in a scooter or a wheelchair, or if you have, a couple of strollers that you could usually push right onto a monorail or a ferry. But if you're not, if you're just you and the kids and you want to jump on the bus and get there in 5 minutes and skip those monorail or those ferry boat lines, this is a great tip. Again, it's a hack. It's coming from me to you. Don't go sharing this to people when you're walking around Walt Disney World. I don't need people knowing these things. This is for my listener only. So only for you. Don't tell your friend. Don't tell your aunt or uncle. That's it. All right. So moving on. You can tell who you want. I'm only kidding. If you want to tell somebody, if you want the buses to be full coming from the Transportation and Ticket Center to the Magic Kingdom, go right ahead. Tell anybody you want. But again, I feel like I'm doing you a solid here. So, all right. Walt Disney World travel hack number 8. Here we go. This is another one that I don't know if people realize they can do, and it's a great one. So you need to book breakfast reservations in the park before the park opens. That way you can get in early and have amazing photo opportunities, and you are completely ready to rock when the park opens. So if you want to get into Epcot early and have breakfast at Akershus with the princesses, and you want to walk through a nearly empty World Showcase, this is how you do it. Or if you want to walk down a nearly empty Main Street, USA. I said instead of sorry. Or, now I lost my place. If you want to walk down a nearly empty, not a nearly empty Main Street, USA, and take pictures in front of Cinderella Castle with the family, with no one else around, maybe you should make a reservation for Crystal Palace at 8 a.m. or as early as you possibly can. That way you'll have that experience. Some of the best photos you're ever going to take in Walt Disney World will be before the park opens, and you can get in if you have that super early dining reservation. And then after your breakfast is over, instead of, you having to wait in line to get in somewhere for breakfast, standing in that Crystal Palace line outside, or anything like that, you can just go straight to an attraction. You don't have to wait any lines. You don't have to, fight the crowds. Go straight to an attraction, except maybe don't eat like 4 plates of eggs at Crystal Palace and then go ride Splash Mountain. I've actually learned that the hard way. That's something you should avoid unless you want to feel queasy for like 3 hours after riding Splash Mountain in the morning. All right, so that was number 8. On to hack number 9. And this is a great one. This one actually comes from one of my friends, Jen Hoffman, a very good friend. She was on an episode that I cannot remember, but it was the Walt Disney World for the ladies episode. That was last year, I believe. I'll have to look that up and put it in the show notes. But this is one I never thought of until Jen brought it up. And it's to stagger your meals when you're ordering at a Disney table service restaurant. Now, this one is totally and especially helpful if you are traveling with young kids, like I always am. So basically, your kids' meals can come out first with one of the adult meals if you're 2 adults to a party with a bunch of kids. And then the second adult's meal can come out 15 or 20 minutes later. Disney is awesome about understanding that you want hot food and not one that has been sitting on the table for 20 minutes or 15 minutes before you get to it while you're cutting up your kids' meals, getting their sticker books. We always have sticker books in the restaurants. Or by, getting their sticker books ready, or if your kid has an electronic device, you're trying to fight with them to get them to eat or get their meal set up. And then, of course, when your child's meal is in front of them, for the next 10 minutes, they're going to need 1,000 different things per kid while you're trying to get your food together and start eating. So what you want to do is stagger those meals. So when you sit down, ask the server if it's an option. It will be, by the way. They always say yes. And have one of the adults order his or her food to come out with the kids' food. Then while that adult eats, the other parent takes care of the kids and their food. Then 15 or 20 minutes later, have the second adult entree come out of the kitchen and the parents can switch places. It's awesome. You get hot food. You get to enjoy the food the way it's supposed to be enjoyed. And it totally lessens the chance of a kid meltdown because there's always one parent kind of on hand ready to tend to the needs. So that is a great one. Thank you once again to my friend Jen Hoffman for telling me about that one. And it's one that my wife and I use now on every trip. Okay, so that was number 9. Going to hack number 10. And this one is another one that I think is completely underutilized in the parks. Either a lot of guests don't know about it or they just simply don't use it. And it is utilizing the rolling fast pass. What is a rolling fast pass? You may be asking yourself right now. Let me explain it to you. I'm so happy that you asked. So each and every day as a Disney park guest, you will have 3 fast passes to book. If you're staying on Walt Disney World property in one of the Disney hotels, you can book these fast passes 60 days in advance. If you're staying off property, you can book these fast passes 30 days in advance. So after you ride those attractions for those 3 fast passes, you can get something that Disney calls a rolling fast pass. Basically, after your 3rd attraction is done, go back onto the My Disney Experience app on your phone or find one of the My Disney Experience FastPass Plus kiosks throughout the parks and do a quick search for which attractions are left to get fast passes for. My advice is to book the one that has the availability that's as soon as possible. So you book that one, hit that attraction, then go straight back to the app and do the same thing again. Theoretically, you can do this as many times over and over and over as possible until the park closes that night. Now, are you going to get Splash Mountain or Seven Dwarfs Mine Train or, Avatar Flight of Passage? No. But you're going to get maybe Jungle Cruise, or you'll get Dumbo or things like that. So the attractions that, you may not get the headliners, but you'll get attractions. You'll get a chance to ride them. And it's an awesome little hack that I think a lot of people don't know about. Okay, so that was hack number 10. And that is going to round out my trip of top. You know what? Let's change it. You know how Bob Barker used to always do on The Price is Right? He used to always say, play that game Hole in One. And then he would go, Hole in One. And he would hit the button and he would go, or two. Well, I'm doing that. I'm turning this podcast on its head. I'm not going to give you a top 10. I'm going to give you, my awesome, loyal listener, a top 12 list today. So let's do 2 more hacks. And if you stop listening after 10, you are missing out. But wait a minute. If you stop listening after 10, you're not hearing me right now. So that doesn't make any sense. All right. Regardless, you're listening right now because you can hear my voice. So let's go with the top 12. So let's go on to number 11. And number 11 is one that I love, and it is eat while people ride while people eat. So generally in the parks, the lines for the really super busy, popular attractions are going to remain busy and long all day. So for attractions like Frozen Ever After, for Soarin', for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, and especially for Avatar Flight of Passage or the Navi River Journey, your best bet is going to be to jump on that My Disney Experience app or the site either 60 or 30 days in advance and get fast passes for those. But you can still get lower rates if you play your cards right? So most guests tend to eat lunch and tend to eat dinner around the same times. So lunch is usually between, say, 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. Dinner is usually between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. So those are going to be the pretty busy times in the restaurants all over Walt Disney World. So what do you do instead of eating at those times? Don't go to the restaurants at those times. Instead, that's when you wait for the attractions that you don't have fast passes for. Then you eat your meals at really off weird times, like, 10:30 a.m. Eat lunch. There are some places like Columbia Harbor House in the Magic Kingdom that open for lunch early. So you can go in there and get your Anchors Away sandwich at 10:30 in the morning while most people are still in line. Go there and get lunch early. Eat your breakfast, in your resort, say 7 a.m. before you leave. And then go to dinner at 8:30 p.m. or 4 p.m. and skip those super long lines or the super busy times in the restaurants. So again, eat when everyone else is riding, ride when everyone else is eating. You'll get lower wait times, shorter queues, less crowds at restaurants if you follow that rule. So that was a good one. That was hack number 11, the bonus hack, if you will. Let's move on to the last hack, the second bonus hack, number 12. And this is a tip that I'm going to give you that you're really not going to want to tell anyone else about. And you might be saying to yourself, Phil, you keep telling me not to tell people about these hacks. This one is for real. All right. This one, keep to yourself. Do you want to win on Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin every single time you're on? You don't want to lose to your kids. You don't want to lose to your wife. You don't want to lose to your husband or your uncle or your aunt or your grandfather. You don't want to lose to any of these people. You want to win. So I have a hack. Actually, it's 2 hacks in one that will help you win every single time on Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. I know 2 targets that every time you hit them, you will get 100,000 points. And now for some reason I'm thinking of Dr. Evil. $100,000. I know it says $1 million. That's a bad Dr. Evil, but that's what I'm thinking. But you can get 100,000 points every time you hit these two targets. Now, the first one you want to find is in that first room. Find the left arm of the robot on the left and hit it for 100,000 points. So that's in the first room, the left arm of the left robot. That's 100,000 points. And it's pretty unassuming too. You wouldn't ever guess that that's going to give you 100,000 points if you don't know about it. But that right there is the first target to look out for. The second one is when you finally see Zurg. You're finally face to face with the evil Emperor Zurg. Aim for the target at the bottom of the scooter that he's on. I think it's called a space scooter. Aim for that. There's one target at the bottom of a scooter, and that one will also give you $1 million. No, it'll give you 100,000 points. But hit those a bunch of times. You will get your 999,999 points. You will win. You will be the envy of everyone else on the vacation with you and everyone else who sees it that day. So again, that was hack number 12, the Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger spin hack. And I'm glad you hung on for number 12 because that's a good one. And you're never going to lose. So you can tell your kids they can go take a walk because you beat them again. And you're never going to tell them how. Listen, how else will kids learn to be competitive? Go on Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger spin with your child and beat the pants off them. All right, and that is going to do it for this week's Ear to There podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for dealing with only my voice for going on 40 minutes now. I really appreciate it, as always. I hope these hacks were fun for you. I hope they're helpful. I know that when I was putting this list together, I didn't want to just, pick a whole bunch of things that people already knew about. So I hope a couple of these at least will help you out on your next trip to Walt Disney World. Now, usually I ask if you did enjoy the episode, if you would share it, but you've listened to the show. You know I want only you to know about these hacks, no one else. So don't tell anyone about this episode. Instead, if you did enjoy the episode, head over to eartotheretravel.com/iTunes. And there you could subscribe to the show so you get these episodes downloaded instantly to your whatever your listening device is each and every week. Also, there's a tutorial there that will teach you how to rate and review the show. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you so much in advance for doing that. It just helps more people find out about the show and listen to the show, and it makes my popularity go up on iTunes and all the other podcast services. So thank you in advance so much for doing that for me. All right, just remember, there will be a new episode of the Ear to There podcast each and every Monday morning, as well as a new episode of the Ear to There podcast, Walt Disney World Word of the Week, each and every Wednesday morning. So until next time, thank you so much again for listening. Have an awesome week. Bye-bye.